I don't believe I'm better than anybody else, even though the political system that I'm in thinks that some of the people are better than me. But I don't fight the system. I want to. Oh my God, girl, I want to really fight the system.
Hello, everybody. You're listening to Chatting with Candice. I'm your host, Candice Horback. Before we get started on this week's episode, if you want to support the podcast, you can go to chattingwithcandice.com. From there, you can sign up for our Patreon account where you get early access to episodes, shout outs, and eventually some live AMAs. You can also click that little link that says Buy Me Coffee. Both things help me out a ton. Every dollar counts, especially because I'm just getting started. You've been busy?
Girl, please.
Where do you find the time?
You know what? I don't know. I just make the time. I used to I've been doing this for like 10 years, I think now. And I was just thinking right before you connected. I haven't been given how do I say this? I haven't really been given the opportunity that a whole lot of others have been given. So I have to work a whole lot harder. But when you say that to the conservative movement and whatnot, they don't want to hear, no. We all need to be on the same ship in the same direction. Yeah, I understand that. But when I put out something, you rarely ever say anything. When somebody else puts out the same thing I just did, they're getting thousands and thousands of retweets. You know.
Why is that, do you think? Is it just like who's buddy with certain people, or
it's
give
clicks,
me the scoop?
Man. It's many clicks.
Mm-hmm.
It's many clicks. And I know when I left the Democratic Party in 2007. So when I left the Democratic Party, I saw many clicks, but I told myself I'm not getting into clicks, because once you get into clicks, you have your bad clicks and then you have your worst clicks. There are never really any good clicks, because these groups always think that they're a little bit better than the other person and stuff. So, they're gossip groups and rumor groups. And I didn't want to get into all that, plus my girls were babies at the time. And I just wanted to stick to what I needed to do, try to get the information out and try to be as honest as I could. And some people can take it. Some people can't take it.
So I didn't know that you were in the Democratic Party. So yeah. So what created that shift? So I think what's interesting about that is people think that once you have some kind of belief system, you have to be there permanently. You're not allowed to change your mind or constantly reevaluate any issues. So what led you there?
I was a Hillary Clinton supporter back in 2007.
Okay.
And because I didn't like Bush, George W. Bush. Yeah. So I figured if Bill Clinton could come in and fix what Daddy Bush messed up, I felt Hillary with Bill going into the White House at the same time, I felt they could fix what Bush had did with the Iraq situation and stuff like that. Okay. So during that campaign season, the media got all la-di-da and yada yada and kumbaya with Barack Obama. I didn't know that much about Barack Obama. I didn't know him. So, but just because he was a black candidate, I didn't move my allegiance over to him. I just stuck with Hillary. But I kept noticing the way that they covered Bill Clinton and Hillary Clinton seemed like everything that they had to say was framed in a racist way from the media, which kind of pissed me off, because I was like, wait a minute, they didn't do that. but that's the way that it was getting pushed out, and people were believing it, and people were falling in love with Barack Obama, but you couldn't ask him questions. You couldn't ask him any type of questions. I remember there was one time when they were up in New Hampshire, and Bill Clinton was asking the people up there, or he made the statement. He was like, Barack Obama said he was for the war before he was against it. He was for the war. He put it on his website. And then when he started running for president, he took it off. And the media is not saying anything about it. This is the biggest fairy tale I've ever seen in my life. And the media cut all that extra stuff out. And then they just use, this is the biggest fairy tale. And then they said, Bill Clinton is saying that a black man can't run for president. It's the biggest fairy tale. I was like, what? What? Where'd that come from? And when they got to South Carolina, right after New Hampshire, South Carolina, they asked Bill Clinton. It was a setup question. I know. Said, what do you think about Barack Obama's chances in South Carolina? And Bill Clinton said, well, Jesse Jackson won South Carolina. Oh my God, this racist answer. I was like, you know what? I see what's going on. I see what's happening. I'm out. I'm done. But even though I left the Democratic Party, I haven't signed up for the Republican Party because there's a whole lot wrong with their leadership. Serving in the military, I support the American people.
Mm-hmm.
I despise congressional leadership because of what they've done in trying to separate us on a regular basis. They separate us all the time. The laws separate us, that they create rich, poor, black, white, gender, this, that. They do that, and then because the laws don't touch them. But it has us scratching and clawing and crabbing at each other. And yeah. So I didn't join the Republican Party, but I voted for Republican candidates because I thought the Republican can't. I mean, I wasn't going to vote for Democrat candidates, so I had to vote for something. And I thought that, maybe the Republican candidates might be able to get in and actually follow what their what's it called? Their values, their little wall of rules, whatever that's called. But they usually don't. It's just a wall of rules. Mm-hmm. It's just a wall of things that we believe in, but we're not going to believe in. So,
Yeah, I was just listening to Simon Sinek talk about the military. He does a lot of work with them. And then he also works with corporate America. And what he said that he loves about the military is that he's never hugged more people. He's never cried with more people. And there's this sense of like brotherhood and community. And it's not, our ideas have to be exactly aligned. Like it's so much bigger and deeper than that. And it's a lot harder to divide them. Like it's a family unit. Where outside of that, it's like, well, what do you think on this subject? What do you think on this subject? Who did you vote for? Like, can I trust you? And that's so superficial.
Yeah.
So I think that's like one of the many beautiful things about the military. Would you say, because obviously that's a very dangerous task to sign up for. I feel like there's a lot of courage that has to be instilled in a person to volunteer for their community or their country. Mm-hmm. And then coming out as like a political commentator and sharing your opinions, like that's also takes a certain level of courage and bravery in today's world. It's a different kind of bravery, but it's still bravery. Mm-hmm. So when did you decide to take this path on becoming like a political commentator, radio host, opinion sharer, and did the military kind of help you with that? Or is that like are you wired this way?
Nope.
Nope.
Nope. I got out of the military in 97. And I really didn't get into this until 2000 and 2007 is when I changed parties, but I really didn't get super active until maybe 2011, 2012. And that's when I sort of hit my peak, I guess, whatever. Somebody asked me, because I had been on Sean Hannity's radio show and I'd been on a couple of the TV shows to express my opinion about certain things. Mm-hmm. And somebody came to me and they were like, let me produce the Wayne Dupree Show. Oh, great. All right. And we'll just do 3 hours. 3 hours. Really? Jesus.
Yeah, that's intense.
That's a lot. but they were like, well, we got the commercials and I said, okay, all right. Let's do it. And we started out with that. And I got more time on TV and I got more time on the radio side. But like I said before, when trying to get into other radio networks, they had their groups, so they wouldn't let anybody else in. Mm. They wouldn't let anybody else in. And there were so many voices out there. And I know before I even started, again, it wasn't the military. I just came on. I think the Trayvon Martin thing was the Trayvon Martin situation was the one that kind of started everything for me, because I saw it a little bit differently, where the Democrats were saying, the guy hunted him down like a dog. But I was looking at, okay, so how did he get to that place? What did he do to get into that situation? That's the difference between me and some other people. I try to find out, okay, if the police beat him up, what was he doing to the police before they, what happened? So these other networks wasn't letting me in, even though people knew me, they weren't letting me in. So I created my own. Mm-hmm. I created my own radio network. I was using my 401k. That's when I was working in corporate America. I used my own 401k. I had, I brought in like maybe 25, 26 shows, different shows. I used my social media to promote those shows. And the network was called We Are America Radio. So if you use the first letter of each of those words is WAAR. We Are America Radio. WAAR. And people are like, oh my God, that's cool. That's cool. I don't know if you remember Live 365, but Live 365 used to do podcasts and all that stuff. We became the #1 political radio network on Live 365, and things just took off after that. Mm-hmm. But when you get into the age of gaslighting, and when you get into the age of your meat butchers, people don't want to hear what's going to sustain them. So individuals like me and others, they push us off to the side, and then they take the next best thing, for that season. So. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's got to be very difficult. But I think we're in such a cool place where you see these independent, like, media, I guess you can say company, but sometimes it's like a really small group of people, right? And they're getting way more listens, way more eyeballs than these mega networks that used to be our staples. So I think it's really cool that if you're determined enough, you can kind of create the audience and be powerful. And I love what you're saying about, like, you're for the American people, because I hate the two-party system. I really do. Like, I always say I'm like politically homeless. Like, I don't belong anywhere. And it's so interesting to me. Like, we're so complicated. Everyone is so complicated. We have our life story that has created our view of the world. And no two are the same. So to think that there's just two buckets and you have to agree down the line for them to welcome you with open arms is a little ridiculous to me. And it's like, I feel like we should look at every topic individually and then assess that. And just because maybe you're pro gun doesn't mean that you're also religious, right? Like how are those connected? So I hate that we're in such a place.
Right. No, guns and bullets. Go ahead.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
I hate that we're in such a place that it's like, it's just so polarizing. And we came to a place that like friends are not friends anymore and married couples are having problems. And it's like, there's so much more than these just topics, right? Like why do you believe the things that you believe? Because those are interesting questions, right? Like, why is it that you are pro Second Amendment? We talk about that. Why is it that you're pro free speech or anti-censorship or anti-government or anti-big corp, right? Like there's like your life story behind that, if that makes sense.
No, it does. It does. And what's crazy, I was raised up in church. My father was a pastor. My mom was Sunday school superintendent. So all I knew was church. All I knew was the Bible. All I knew is what I was being told. All I knew is that if you didn't accept Jesus Christ, you were going to hell. Didn't matter who you were. If you didn't accept Jesus Christ, you were going to hell. That's it. When I went to the military and I was on my own, I learned so much about everything else. I was like, wait a minute. Because when I was younger, people used to go around witnessing to people to try to bring them to Jesus Christ. Read this, read that. Let me sit down and talk to you. Okay. But when I went to the military, I started talking to people of different religions, learning what they believe. I came to the realization, I was like, I can't force what I believe on that person, because what that person believes, they probably think it's true for them. What makes me the know-it-all over what they already know and what, so that's where I am. That's where I am politically right now. I don't try to force what I believe on somebody else. I do more listening now than actually I've learned to listen. I've learned to listen in all facets of life, relationships, political, everything. So what I'm trying to say is I don't believe I'm better than anybody else, even though the political system that I'm in thinks that some of the people are better than me. But I don't fight the system. I want to. Oh my God, girl, I want to really fight the system. But I'm like, whatever. These people, they think they know it all, and that's why they keep losing elections, because they think that they know it all, and they don't spend any time talking to anybody or listening to anybody. They think, I'm rich. I've done all this. I've accumulated all this. I know how to do. But if you haven't lived, or you don't know what that person's condition is, you can't bring them up on your level. And even if you bring them up on your level, and they haven't came up the same way you did, it's not going to affect them the same way. You bring them to the top of the mountain and they get up there and they see it, and all of a sudden they're going to roll right back down, because they don't have the sustaining power that you got to get up there. So I've become a whole lot smart in my older age. That's probably what it is.
And it's just realizing that you don't know everything. I think there's a lot of just wisdom in that, in not knowing and not making assumptions and not thinking that you're the absolute barometer of what is good and what is bad and what is evil and what is true and all of these things. There's a lot of gray in human existence, and no one wants to acknowledge that. It's like these things are just like the Holy Grail, and you are not allowed to question that. And again, with the politically homeless thing, it's so funny because like I had tweeted some things earlier in 2020 and it got like a lot of more like conservative people that started following me. Mm-hmm. And they'll follow me and they'll like DM me, but they're like, well, I can't talk to you though because you did porn. And I'm like, so this one thing undoes my humanity, essentially. I'm no longer a person to these people. And I'm like, that's just so interesting because it's weird. I feel like traditionally speaking, at least, like the conservatives, everyone's like, how can you agree with anything that they say when you're in that line of work? Because most of them tend to be religious and then therefore kind of cast down what you do. And I was like, well, that's true. But also I feel like they tend to be like less regulatory. So it's like these companies are super left, right? Like Instagram and Twitter, like they skew hard left. But yet they're the ones that are deplatforming a lot of people like myself. But they're also the people that are like, sex work.
Did you get deplatformed?
I'm not yet. No.
Okay.
I'm very careful.
I am too. Yeah.
No. I'm like, I read those terms of service with a magnifying glass, because it's like if you do feel like you have some kind of message you're trying to get out there, it's ego that gets you kicked off. It's like, well, I'm going to stick it to the man and prove that this is my freedom to do something. And then I get kicked off and then I start crying about it. Well, it's
start
like
whining. Yep.
Right.
Yep.
So there's always a way.
Happening.
There's always a way. You can get your message across without being so combative, without breaking the rules. There's always ways. But yeah, so you see these girls getting kicked off. Mostly it's like Instagram. Like they're the ones that go really heavy with it. And again, they skew heavily left. And then you surprisingly get the conservatives that are like, well, although I don't agree with that, I don't think that it's anyone's obligation to deplatform these people or to take away their livelihoods. And I feel like that's such a paradox. Like no one really saw that coming. Have you like seen what's happening with Pornhub, all of that drama?
I saw that story. Well, no, I saw the story with the credit card thing. I really didn't go deep into the story, but I saw the credit card thing, not accepting MasterCard or something.
Or Visa, yeah. So Visa and MasterCard.
So not accepting either one of them.
Yeah, both of them pulled out. And that was because like this one activist group got really loud. And again, it's complicated. Humans are complicated. So there were some really troubling like videos that got leaked and, you know, illegal, like abusive, all of that stuff. But that stuff's also on Facebook, right? So that exists there.
Yeah.
I mean, still use your credit card there.
Yeah. So if they aren't accepting those cards, how do they stay afloat? Or is that what they're trying to do? They're trying to choke them out.
I think so.
Okay.
Yeah, it's kind of like forcing them to shut down. And I mean, meanwhile, there's still like a ton of tube sites. So I was just curious if you were following it and like what your opinions were on it.
I know about it. Yeah.
It's not too far from what happened with Parler, right? It's like we have this group of people that disagree with your platform, not necessarily with the content, but with your platform, and we're going to take it down. So
same things happen with Telegram right now too.
Is it?
Google and Android are being sued by a watchdog group because the moderation isn't happening on Telegram like it wasn't happening on Parler. So they are suing Android and Apple because they won't take Telegram out of their store. Yeah. I saw that yesterday.
Oh, that's so interesting. So I guess who's in favor of these things? So with the Pornhub thing is, again, it's so complicated because I'm not a fan of free explicit content. I think that there should always be a paywall. And I think that when you are allowing people to upload certain material that needs to be verified. I think this should have happened a long time ago just to protect the people that are most vulnerable. And then when it comes to Parler, again, it's like as long as no one's actually, you know, inciting actual violence, I don't see an issue.
Right.
But you get these people that are just in support of shutting down these billion-dollar companies. Billion-dollar companies can disappear overnight because a small group of people have a problem with your ecosystem, if you will.
Yep.
That seems really un-American to me.
Well, that's how a lot of conservatives feel with the left, because on Twitter, which their template is so crazy, is that people follow you. I follow you because I agree with what you talk about, and I want to know more. I want to find out more, and I want to support you.
Thank you. You too.
All right, there we go. But on Twitter, they're stopping me from seeing you because I agree with you. But they allow the people that hate you to see what you are doing so they can complain and report you. So 3 or 4 weeks later, I'm like, well, where did she go? I haven't seen her. I don't know. And then it could be like you might be deplatformed, or you might be shadow banned now. And it's like, I used to see her stuff all the time. That's why I followed her. But the trolls are seeing more of her because it's a backwards thing. It's like, if you don't want to see something, mute it, block it, so that you don't see it again. But Twitter allows these hate groups to find you and to troll you and to report you or create some type of lies on you or bait you into an argument. I used to argue on Twitter all the time when I first started. I was afraid of Twitter. I used to be on Facebook all the time. I used to be on Facebook and I was afraid of Twitter literally because I thought it moved too fast. It's like a highway, on ramp to a highway. You got to move. Okay. But just as soon as I got into it, I thought, okay, yeah, it's kind of cool. And then I was able to get my voice out, just like what you're doing right now. Get your voice out. And people were like, you know what? I like what he's saying. Let me follow him. My followers count, boom, 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 boom. Okay, fine. Then I said something about share.
How dare you?
I said something about share. And I know it was like a Thursday night. I know it was a night because of the way that her fans came back at me. Girl, I thought I had downloaded some type of virus because her fans came at me like the Roman Legion army, you know. I was like, wait a minute, where did all these people coming from? And they were hitting bam, 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 bam. I was like, oh, and this is how, and Twitter's kind of changed the way that they do things now, but people were buying followers for me in Russian. So I'm seeing Russian names. Russian name followed you. Russian name followed you. Russian name followed you. Russian name followed you. And I was like, they're trying to get me banned because all these people are following me, and then somebody's going to say that I'm buying all these followers. So I had to lock my account so that those followers kept running into the wall. And then, I was like, I never bother share again. I've never bothered share since that day. I haven't bothered her. I let her go.
Cher, I didn't mean it.
Yeah. Hey, girl, do what you got to do. I ain't bothering you no more. I never forget that. But I don't fuss with anybody online anymore. I don't, because they don't know me. I don't know them. So I don't know whether they're trying to, because for the most part, they work in groups. So if one person starts fussing with you and they get you, then they got another one, and now they start reporting you, and then they get you kicked off or suspended. So I was like, I ain't following. So I'm glad that you have gotten. I'm glad that are smart.
I try to be.
I mean, because not a whole lot of people said what you just said about. I said on my show all the time, to be in the game, you got to be in the game.
Mm-hmm.
And you can't go out here acting like the other side and expect that you're going to get away with it. They've been doing it for a long time. They write the rules. It's their platform.
Mm-hmm.
It's what they do.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why I signed up for Parler and Cloud Hub and some other ones. I can express what I want to with the conservative audience, but I can also talk about what I believe in, even if I have to use code words.
Mm-hmm.
I can't use specific words because I get in trouble. So I have to use different type of words in this category just to maintain and stay. I'm surprised, honestly, between me and you, I'm surprised that I'm still here. I've lost 130 followers, 130,000 followers.
I thought so. When I looked at your account before this, I was like, whoa, he's down a lot.
Yeah.
I was like, I know I saw a different number like just recently.
I was up to like 512,000. And the crazy thing about that one is between August and January, they kept me between 508 and 512. I couldn't get above a certain thing. But in Parler, I got close to 700,000, going on 710,000 before that was shut down. So just as soon as that goes back up, it'll start rolling back up again. But yeah, I don't complain. I don't complain on Twitter anymore. I acknowledge and I tell people, but I don't complain about it. I tell people it's theirs. I'm not going to cry. It's theirs. They created it. They got the rules. It's theirs. I didn't create anything. I'm just using it. At least I know that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's so interesting. So back when I first started in the industry and started like my social media accounts or whatever, mm-hmm. I just had the mindset of like growing my account. Like, how can I get the most followers as possible? Yep. What do they want to see? What's clickbait? Like all of these things. So mm-hmm. that meant like posting explicit things and reposting companies. And I didn't think anything of it. I was just like, sure, like let's just do what everyone else is doing. Mm-hmm. And that's totally allowed. Like there are some crazy retweets you can see on Twitter, not on my profile, but they exist. Like even when I was in the industry, I was like, oh my God, you're posting that? Like I know it's on the internet, but this is like, it's different.
Yeah.
And that's totally rewarded with growth and engagement and all of these things. And then once mm-hmm. I started, I guess, like redefining what I thought was okay for myself, like not for anyone mm-hmm. else, like you can do what you want. I'm not like judging these other performers, but for myself, I believe firmly in paywall. So I don't want to say that and then not do it. So I cleaned up my entire Twitter account, got rid of everything explicit. Even now when I like promote my other work, like it's like in a very like tasteful fashion, like it's like a TikTok video or something, right? Like it's nothing crossing a line in my mind. And I do that, and then I start sharing more of like myself, like my mind, my thoughts, mm-hmm. Like my real life. And then all of a sudden, that's when I get shadow banned. And I'm like, there's this other stuff that could questionably be more harmful for the community, right, on social media than just me tweeting an opinion or whatever it is, or following certain accounts, because I think that also plays into it. It's like who you follow, they start like looking at you.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, like my numbers, like I couldn't get over like 380 for a really long time. And I would like lose people as fast as I got them. And then I would like you disappeared for a while. Like Gad disappeared for a while recently. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, I follow them. So how am I not seeing them? And I just think it's so interesting, like what we're deciding to reward and not reward.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right. Yep. Yeah. I'm serious. It's like I follow to know more, to watch more, to listen more, and to learn more. And then you're going to stop me from doing it mm-hmm. because you're trying to break my will and you want me to leave.
Mm-hmm.
or you don't want people to know, or you don't want people to learn about what I have to say or what I've been through and where I am right now. How I can, well, not completed my arc, but how I'm working on where I am, which could help somebody else. But you can damn sure promote these trolls out here. You can put a shining spotlight on these individuals, these hateful individuals. But for somebody else that has another, that other side of the coin, informational bent, you don't want nobody to hear that. And that just sucks. That just sucks, period. How social media is right now. And they're trying to squeeze us. They are trying to squeeze every bit of life that's, well, I don't know about life, but they're trying to squeeze every bit of information that we have so that they can only think one way with blinders on, they just want they just want us all on the island. They just want us all on the island, just listening to what they have to say because they believe that they are the king ruler of information. And I don't know. I don't know whether they're trying to build robots or not. I don't know.
I think too, when you're, I guess, punishing, for lack of better words, like anyone that strays from like the ideological herd as well, you're not like giving people room to grow and like really cultivate like who they are, because that's when we like learn the most about ourselves, is when we're challenged or faced with opposition, and we're like, it gives you a chance also to humanize the other person, right? Like if you have everyone saying like, this is bad, this is wrong, and we're going to strip them away of like their right to like this, virtual town square, if you will, you're making that person less than, right? Like that's, I feel like that's going to be a really slippery slope that we're going to have to deal with too. And you see that now with people saying like anyone who voted for Trump has to go in this list. And I was like, well, not everyone's the same. Like it's a very complex group. Just like not everyone that voted for Biden like is, an Antifa supporter. Like that's also ridiculous, right? We're all humans and we're doing the best that we can.
Yep.
Yeah, it's really
it's almost like everybody like I did not go to the Capitol.
Right. I didn't either. I was in North Carolina.
You were in North Carolina? I was in Maryland, but we didn't go.
Right.
Also,
I personally,
that wasn't us.
When all that was happening, I had so many people comment. They're like, well, why aren't you commenting on this? So I was like, first of all, that's not my job. I'm not a political comment. I'm just a regular human sharing my thoughts on a daily basis. But it was like, I think that was probably not a good look. That was wrong. I don't support violence at all. And I think people that have experience with violence would also say it should probably be a last resort. I don't think that was that situation. I think we're very far from like a necessary revolution. Like people are like, it's time. I'm like, it's not time.
Right. And oh man, that really gets me all the time because they talk about that's what they want. But these people won't even sign up for the military. They don't know anything about war. They don't know anything about
violence,
complication, So when I'm on my show and I'm like, okay, so when they hear that first bullet wheeze by their head, pew! Oh, they for real. Okay. I'm going home. Hey, I'm going home. I'm out. Or when those rubber bullets start hitting you. So I'm not going to say it really hurt me, but to hear or to watch so many people online that I have seen that are Trump supporters try to say that most of those people are Antifa. I covered it, Candice. I covered it. I was using C-SPAN's cameras and we covered it. And we saw Trump supporters walking through like it was a regular old day, taking photos. Hey, dude, look at the photo. Get a picture of. Come on, you know. It's like they thought that they were on a tour thing, walking through there.
Also, what's the end point of that? What's your end point? Your end game?
But they're saying that it was Antifa that was doing all the damage and stuff. The girl that was killed, the U.S. Air Force person, she was an Antifa. She was a MAGA supporter. And I believe I don't agree with her being shot. But I watched what she was doing. Mm-hmm. She was going through the window. And whoever it was, they could have shot at the wall. They could have shot at the ground. They could have shot at they could have shot around her. They could have let her know, you come any farther, I'm going to shoot. They didn't. But I was saying that everybody that was doing all that stuff was Antifa. That was an Air Force person. And a whole lot of those people were Trump supporters. They were Trump supporters going in there. Mm-hmm. And, you know, I just had to break myself away from that. And I said what I needed to, and that's it, man. These people, like you said, it's right, it's left. Mm-hmm. I don't know how many of us are left in the middle, but you got a far right, you got a far left. The far right don't like to hear that they're far right, but they are far right. They are very far right. You say that you don't believe something that they are for, they will kick you off. Well, you ain't conservative then, or you're not a Christian. Or wait a minute, you can't kick. Who are you to kick me off of the conservative platform because I don't think that you are doing the right thing? Mm-hmm. You know, well, or sometimes I get, what's wrong with you? What happened to you?
Because there must be something wrong if you're not exactly a
it's
prototype.
Me, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right. What's wrong with you? Or Candice, they'll be like, I thought you were better than this. Better than what? I didn't do anything. Mm-hmm. What are you talking about? I thought you were better than this. Right? Or Candice, then you got, I'm unfollowing you. You don't have to announce it. Just do it.
Yeah.
As a matter of fact, let me help you. Block. You know, I'm like, I don't know whether they feel that they're that so much important or what, but this isn't the conservatism that I saw back in 2007. The conservatism that I thought that I saw in 2007 that drew me. I was like, that's what I want. The stuff that is today, I say it to you and I say it to anybody anywhere. They have mimicked the left because they don't know how to fight the left and win the argument of logic and common sense. We say that we're the party of logic and common sense, but people on the right don't understand culture.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
They haven't put anything into understanding culture, so they make fun of it and they demonize it. And now what they do, they try to imitate it. So like when Kanye came on the scene, they were like, yeah, we got Kanye on our side. I'm like, y'all don't understand. Kanye's not doing this for this. Kanye got some records coming out. He got some clothes that he wants to sell. When 50 Cent came out, we got 50 Cent on our side. And then I was like,
he went,
hold on. And then 2-3 days later, I ain't voting for that motherfucker. You know, kind of like that. They, like I said, they try to mimic and use whatever influence that they can to show, see, we are right, but you're not, because you don't know really how to play the game. You know how to, you really don't know how to imitate them either, but you imitate them to the point where people are like, well, why should I even join you? you're copying them. So what makes you better than them?
Mm-hmm.
You know? That's what I see from my side. And, you know, that's why I get, what happened to you? I thought that you were, I'm still conservative up here. You know, I still think logic and common sense here. I don't have to be famous. I don't have to be on the wall. When I went to the White House, I was shocked because I didn't want to be on TV. Between me and you, I did not want to be on TV. Because there are some things that I don't agree with President Trump on. But I've interviewed him 5 times. He's a cool dude.
Mm-hmm.
Cool dude. But I know the left. And I know you see what they're trying to do. You know, the FBI is going, and they found a friend of mine who put out a meme in 2016. The FBI showed up at his door 2 mornings ago and arrested him.
What was the meme?
The meme was, and I think it was a joke, but the meme was, don't vote for Hillary. These are the days that you are supposed to vote. So show up on these days instead of these days. I think it was a joke. I don't know if it was a joke or not. But that was back in 2016. It's 2021.
So is that, I feel like I briefly saw that. I've been like trying to be very mindful of the content that I'm watching because I just, I get so easily like angry right now. So I just I'm trying to like be like, what can we control? Does it really affect you? What's real? And I try to like take that out of the equation. So I'm trying to be more mindful. But I saw something with something like phone calls or texting to vote. Is that the same thing as the meme situation? Are they unrelated?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
That was also included in there too. The text and the vote to get some more information and stuff. But I still think it was. I don't think it was super serious though.
I think the problem with that, again, I don't really know a lot about it, but if they're trying to say is the issue that they're trying to say that there was just fraud with that election in particular.
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah,
so if we keep doing this, if we keep saying like our elections are so unsecure and fragile that one person can, create a meme and undo democracy, or that one political party can have so much power that they steal the election. Both parties are saying this, right? Like everyone said Trump didn't win. Now the other side's saying Biden didn't win. Like at the end of the day, the American people are suffering because now we feel like we actually, don't have a safe democracy. So like both parties just have to stop. Like at some point, everyone's got to be like, enough is enough. You guys are pandering, both sides. And there's a bunch of us in the middle, and we're just voting on who we think doesn't suck the most. And you know what I mean? Like very rarely, I think, do people get really excited about a candidate? We're like, okay, well, we got this guy, or we got this guy, or we got this lady, or we got this. Like, I actually, surprisingly, I really like Tulsi Gabbard. Right?
I do too.
I think she's wonderful.
Honestly, I do too. Yeah, boy.
Yeah. She's so smart. She served in the military. She's grounded. She's fierce. Like she's like a lot of things that you would say she should kind of be in charge of a country. I can see it. Like she's respectful, like all the things that you would want, right? Poise, all these things. Obviously, I'm a fan. But everyone would be like, oh, you're MAGA. I'm like, I'm not. Like I don't tie myself to my thoughts. I know that they can change. I know my beliefs can change. Like this is what I see the situation in this moment, and I'm not tied to it. And people like make you defined by these decisions. And it's like at some point we need everyone to kind of come in the middle and say, everyone is treating us like garbage right now. And we need to say enough is enough. Like turn off the news that are, lying to you. Stop supporting these political candidates that are just creating divisiveness, and say like what matters at the end of the day is the American people, right? Not the people at the top.
That's the thing. That's the thing. And that's why I tell people, I was like, I question some of the young conservatives out there right now that are trying to run for Congress and run for the Senate. I'm like, maybe you should try city council first. Maybe you should try on the ground. Some of these state and local seats. Because if you really want change, you have to plant roots to grow. And the roots have to get stronger before it sprouts and grows into something that is sturdy and strong. You can't start up at the top because, yeah, you want to be a senator. Yeah, you want to be a House representative, but those people don't do anything on a state level. They really don't. Mm. They can't tell you what to do in your neighborhood, around your house, in your backyard. That's a state and local thing. But so many want the limelight. So many people want to be praised, and they want to get up there and make a fool out of themselves, really. But I caution the young conservatives out there to get elected on the local and city. I know the jobs aren't sexy. I know they aren't. Who wants to be councilman for the 14th district? Yeah, whatever. But once you get down there and then you see what's happening on the ground, because I tell you, the people on the left, they got that thing down. So many things are happening in our neighborhoods and communities right now because the left is passing laws. And we're like, well, how did that happen? Well, you don't even go to your council meetings, monthly council, you aren't there to complain. You aren't there to talk about it. So I try to, but then again, nobody wants to listen. Everybody, they want the praise. Like I said, they want that limelight. They want the spotlight. As for me, I really don't care. I just like informing and talking to people. I'll go back to 2007. Or a little bit before 2007, I used to watch C-SPAN a lot. I used to watch C-SPAN, and I used to watch people call in during certain events and stuff, and they used to talk. I couldn't get through. I wanted to get through. I couldn't get through. So I had a whole lot to say. A lot that I've been seeing, but I couldn't get it out. That's what I tell young people today. If you want to get your voice out, get it out. I love what you're doing here because you get to interview a whole lot of different people with different ideas and different ways that they do things and stuff, and you're well-rounded that way. I'm not saying this to blow your head up or anything, but I think we need more people like you because I can't tell whether you are this or that politically or not. And you know what? It doesn't matter. You get information out.
Thank you.
And then that allows the people that watch, okay, let me go research this. Let me go research that. If I don't agree with that, then I don't have to accept it. But if I do agree with it, okay, fine. At least you're on the right path in bringing that depth of information so that people can be informed. That's what we need more of. More people need to be informed. But then you're also a danger to social media because social media don't want you to inform anybody. They want mindless, shiftless bots out there that don't have a clue, that sit in front of their computers, drinking Yoo-Hoos and Red Bull, eating Chinese food all the time, not changing any underwear, and just
drifting.
Oh yeah. Oh, it's 2:00. Let me get back on. So I've seen so much.
No, I appreciate it. I definitely got into it when I first, I would say maybe the beginning of 2020. I think I fell a little bit into a few traps where I sided too hard, with the right. And then that like falsely painted me in like this way that, and it's not necessarily my fault or their fault, but it's just like the way that things are right now. It's that if you share certain opinions or retweet certain people, that you get put in that bucket. And it's like, well, I'm not just those things, or I don't agree down the line. Like I do, like, again, politically homeless. I can't say it enough.
I like that. You know what? I'm going to start.
Take it.
I'm going to hashtag the hell out of that. I'm going to hashtag the hell out of that.
Yeah,
I like that. Politically homeless, because I was using free agent, but politically homeless is kind of cool.
Right.
Like
yeah. Like it's just, I take everything in at an individual level. But I think that something that was really cool that recently happened, and I think a positive out of the whole GameStop nonsense that is transpiring, is we're seeing unity for like the first time since I can remember. We had like AOC and Don Jr. agreeing, right? And I mean, Ted Cruz tried to jump in it, but she said no to that. But she was like, not you. But I think it's like, wow, this could be such a powerful moment for everyone. This could be such a healing moment for everyone. Like something really fishy happened, and we need to investigate it. And instead of like highlighting our differences and where we disagree, like let's serve the people. Let's serve the little guy. So I really hope that this, what is a really shitty thing for a lot of people that lost a lot of money, can actually, a lot of good can grow out of it.
Right.
I saw you were covering it a little bit. Like, where do you see this going? What's happening? How did it happen?
Between me and you, I hope it gets bigger. And I hope that it wrecks some things. And the reason why I say that is because Wall Street has been wrecking America for a long time. The people at Wall, and I've watched so many stories about what happened with the mortgage, the housing situation, and different things like that. To watch these rich people, to watch those elites get like choke on a chicken when they saw what happened to GameStop. They were like, yeah, we almost got it. Yeah, it's almost down the hole. Wait a minute. Who's pouring that water in there? Hey, it's almost filled up. What are we going to do? Hey, we'll put some more water in there. To watch this happen, and to watch the groups were like, hold the line. I was like, you can. There was a show that we did for Censored TV. It's going to be airing tonight. And we were like, this is not the last you're going to see of it. But you can't stop these gamers. You can't. That's one thing you can't stop. You can't stop the gamers. Because they'll go here, they'll go there. They will encrypt whatever type of meetings that they have, and then they'll come out, boom, 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 boom. But there is one thing that we all saw that we probably never thought that we were ever going to see, and that was Wall Street or these apps shut down the ability to buy stock. You ain't supposed to do that.
Yep.
And if you can do that, then that means that somehow, some way, I bet you before the end of the year, there's going to be some type of investigation to find out if some of these places are manipulating those stocks like that. Because if they can shut you down from buying it, then they can do some other stuff on the inside for some of these other companies. So, but I don't have any issue with them. As a matter of fact, I went and bought some stuff too. I went and bought some stuff last night. I was kind of pissed off that I was kind of late though.
Oh, you were able to buy last night?
Yeah, on Robinhood. I bought Dodge,
the coin. Yeah,
I bought that.
I got some of those too.
I bought that, and then on Cash App they allowed me to buy AMC.
Okay.
AMC. I didn't mess with GameStop because I figured GameStop was that
That's a long way.
I'm not going to get anything out of that. Yeah.
Mm-mm.
But with AMC, I've been looking at that this morning. So I'm up 55 on that one.
Yeah. What stock was it? When all of this started happening, we got in on this one cannabis company, SN, I don't know, I tweeted it. We put a decent amount of money in it, and as soon as that transaction went through, it froze, and it was only sell only, and it like wasn't showing you anything.
Oh,
and
wow.
I was like, holy cow. And then within seconds we lost $5,000 like that.
Oh no.
Boom.
No,
and I was like, well, this is kind of scary. And then by the end of the night, we went to like see what was happening with everything, and it wouldn't even give us access to the account. We couldn't even look at it. Couldn't see.
What did you use?
Robinhood.
Mm-hmm. See?
Yeah.
I mean, I think it's something wrong. I think something wrong with Robinhood, man. I do. I don't know. I mean, I used them last night for Dogecoin, right?
Yeah.
Dogecoin. I used them last night for that one, but before that, I had pulled all my money out of them. I pulled my money out of them, and it took me a while to get it. So we'll see. But yeah, I use Cash App now. Yeah. Cash App is kind of good.
Yeah. Okay. Maybe I'll look at that. Yeah. It was really sketchy last night. I was like, I don't like that. Oh, look at you go.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. The Dogecoin was up a good amount this morning, but who knows? Yeah. You're like, we should buy some more of that.
But it's down, but it's down though again too.
Is it? Yeah. I haven't checked it since breakfast.
Yeah. And last night.
This is not advice, anyone either.
No.
Make your own assessments. Don't get mad at us if something doesn't work.
But it was a trip too, because I was like, okay. All right. Yeah. Okay. All right. I'm not gonna look again after this.
All day yesterday. I couldn't stop. I was like, my eyes hurt. What's happening? And then I follow Portnoy too. I mean, even people that don't follow him, like, how did you not see him yesterday? And he was just going hard. And I'm like, man, I like his spirit, And then he probably knows some stuff that we don't know. So we'll see how it all kind of unfolds, but it's really scary because I don't know if you were looking at the Reddit thread, but my husband was reading this one guy, and it was like, it almost like brought tears to my eyes. It was like really, really sad. So it was at the beginning at the beginning of the squeeze, and everyone's like, hold. And he's like, okay, guys. And it's like such a community. Like that's the thing with these Discord channels and these Telegram channels. Like people, I don't think understand like how much they mean to the people in them, especially right now when we're in such a place where we don't get to see the ones we love or our friends. Like it's a very necessary part of being a human, right? Is that connection. Right. So they're very, very connected. And he's, he's like, listen, guys, I know you want me to hold, but I've done really well with this GameStop, and I was able to get my parents out of debt and help them with their mortgage. So I do have to pull a little bit out. Don't get mad. I'm going to hold what I can hold, but thank you guys so much. Like this has changed my life. Like your advice has changed my life. And then he leaves the little that he can in there, and it's like his rent, right? And he leaves what little he can. And then Robinhood freezes the accounts, and he's like, devastated. This man is just like, that's all I had left, because he cleared his parents' debt, and the whole community is like coming together and trying to like figure out like, what do we do and console this person. And it's like, these are very real people with real lives, and they don't have tens of thousands of dollars to play around with. Like every dollar does matter to this person, and we're gonna cripple them because some billionaire doesn't like the fact that people are now participating in what they thought was, an elite only game. That doesn't seem right to me. And it's really interesting that you do see some people that are defending like these big cats, and you're like, ooh, but how?
I mean, not only defending them, but they are really attacking the smaller people and showing just how different or separate, or showing how the divide is so large between them and us, and what they really think about us that they've been hiding for so long. You know, so.
Yeah, I can't remember this particular billionaire's name, but he was on, I want to say like CNBC, and he's like,
I saw that.
Oh my gosh, these people just collecting their government checks.
Yeah,
and then
boy.
There's just all this bullshit. I'm like, do you think we want these checks right now? Do you think anyone wants to not be able to work or open their business? Like, I'm sorry, I don't care what party you're on. If the government forces you to shut your business down, you deserve compensation.
Right.
Period. Like I am not like I'm not an AOC fan. I follow everyone big because I just want to be informed. And it was like I want to say halfway through all of the shutdowns, and she's like said something about sending out these checks to people, and she goes, or is that too socialist too? I'm like, I'm not a pro-socialist. I'm pro-free markets and capitalism, but like, she is right. She's right. You can't do this one thing and not pay people. Like, you can't, most people don't have that savings. It's just not, it's not feasible to the reality.
You know, I agree. I agree to the point, because I have been getting mad with conservatives because they've been spending all that money. However, I've also seen the hurt of many people with this pandemic, and these businesses laid off all these people. And then the government gives them a certain amount of money. But then the government says, okay, we'll give you businesses all this money. You just have to hire all your people back or pay the penalty on not hiring them back. These companies are paying the penalty for not hiring people back. They're not hiring the people back. And it wasn't supposed to be like that. It wasn't supposed to, and so even though I want the government to be fiscally responsible, and I'm tired of them spending money that they don't have. So a lot of people out here that really need that money. So a lot of people out here, families, maybe I was disconnected to the point I didn't know that there were soup lines out there.
Oh yeah.
I did not know, Candice, I didn't know that people were in these bag lines and what, and because what do you think about these masks?
The masks. So oh man, it's so again, a reputation I have is that I'm like an anti-masker, and I'm not an anti-masker.
Okay.
I'm personal responsibility. Like, so my husband's like very, like, he's like that devil's advocate personality. So whatever I like think or feel, like, he goes left of that. And then he like challenges me. And he's like, so what if this is the Spanish flu though, and it's wiping out half the population. Then how do you feel about masks? Because I get frustrated because here in North Carolina, you just have to wear it to your table. Then you get to your table and you take it off. And I'm like,
take it off.
But that's not doing anything for anyone, right? As long if there's here, you know what I mean? It's airborne. Right. So that's my issue. Is just like there's no science behind the decision making, at least in where I live. There's not. Okay. So. He's like, so what if it's the Spanish flu and it's taking out half of the population? Then how do you feel about masks? And I was like, I think I still have my stance that it's personal responsibility. That if I felt that there was a 50-50 shot that I was going to die if I went out to eat, I'm not, even if people are wearing hazmat suits, I'm probably not going out to eat. Like, that's my choice. I'm going to stay at home. I'm going to wash my food really well, you know what I mean, to make sure that that's all sanitized. And I'm going to be cooking and I'm going to be isolating. And I'm probably going to be I'll be wearing a hazmat suit by choice because I'm scared for my health, right? So I would take personal precautions to protect myself. I don't think that you owe me anything. I don't think that you owe me my health or my safety. I think it's wonderful if you care. I think that's great. And I think we should all have like that sense of community, right? But I don't think that you're obligated to it. So I have a problem with just making it a mandate. And I truly believe that if you were to just suggest it, like, this is the limited science that we have, right? And it's suggesting, because again, it's so new, like we can't say definitively one way or another. It's suggested that it could help and it could save someone's life, right? And we trust you to be a good part of the community and to care about your other people to do the right thing. I honestly think you would have more people complying that way if you treated everyone like an adult with the right to make their own decision and trusting them that they are caring people and they're smart people and they're going to do the right thing. I think you'd have more people complying. But because you're treating people like children and because you're going back and forth on what the science says, because we had the science say one thing and then we had the science say another thing. And then sometimes you have the WHO that's contradicting the CDC. And then you have the local governments that are not abiding by either the WHO or the CDC, right? The CDC said open schools a long time ago. So when you see so much nonsense, it's hard not to get frustrated. And then you end up getting that, well, I'm not going to do it because you told me to. Right. And that's not good either. Like, you have to be able to recognize when it's just your ego and you're being combative, but that's just psychology. So again, like I think that like if I were to be around my grandmother and she didn't have the shot, I would probably wear a mask, right? Just because I love her and I don't, if there's even a 1% chance that it helps, then I'm going to do that. But I don't like that we are telling people that they have to do it and that businesses that they have to it.
Right.
So that's a long-winded explanation of my mask stance.
Because I think the reason why is we got nobody in this household has gotten it. Has gotten COVID. But then again, we practice whatever we practice. But I'm not mad at those that don't wear it. But I get some on the conservative side telling me, take your mask off. It's in the car. Take your mask off. We can take my mask off. I got a family back home. I don't know where some of you. Well, masks don't work. Okay, all right. When I hear people say masks don't work, and I look at how they wear them, they got them down here, got them over here, they got it on top of the head. They're not really wearing it right. And I was like, if you don't want to wear it, you don't have to. But don't be mad because I'm wearing it.
Right, exactly.
Because I want people around me, like my mom is 95.
Right.
And I wouldn't show up in front of her without my mask, just like you said. But also my next door neighbor or the people that deliver groceries and stuff. And the reason why I asked you that is because I really haven't really gone anywhere. I mean, I've been on 2 trips for like election stuff. I've been on 2 trips, but I really haven't gone above and beyond anywhere. I really don't go to the supermarket anymore because I use Instacart. I really don't. We order food and stuff like that. No, whatever. But I just want to see where you were on it because, as for me, I believe just like you did, it's personal responsibility. Whether like all of us are in here together, we don't wear a mask and whatever. When we go out to the store, if the store requires it, we'll do it. If the store requires it. I've just been seeing too many people on our side. They're trying to take away our freedom. But it's a store policy. No, they're just trying to take it away. But it's a store policy. No. It's like, if you don't want to go to the store, don't go to the store. Just find another store. You don't have to go to that store. Instead of just standing there and arguing and stuff. I mean, it doesn't help the situation. Or at least,
Yeah, and I think forcing the businesses to can be an issue because there's certain business models like it doesn't work for, right? So like if you want to take, I mean, it's going to sound stupid to some people, but for these people that own the businesses, it's their livelihood, and you don't know, their house could be on the line for this business. So if you're talking about like a spa, right? Like you can't get a facial with a mask on, doesn't work. And so are you saying that person's business doesn't matter because it's like non-essential? It's essential to that person. So again, I think it's just whatever you want to do. Like if you as a business owner want to take the precautions, by all means do it. And I'll respect your business policies. And if you as an individual want to go out with those new space helmets, you do you, right? That's awesome. I'm like happy for you. I'm happy that you feel safe. But if you have someone, and I've seen these videos, and I'm sure like some people are tweeting them just to get a rise out of people, but you do see some people that might have some mental disorders or impairments or some physical impairments, and they just cannot wear the mask, right? Like children, especially, like certain people, like masks are just not going to happen. And we need to also, I guess, accommodate them, right? So it comes to protecting yourself. Like I saw a little girl that was getting kicked out of, and she was, I don't know what she had, but it seemed like her motor skills were a little bit impaired, and then she was also in a wheelchair, and she couldn't wear a mask because she was on an oxygen tank and all of these things. And I think like there was like some level of anxiety, and they kicked this little girl out of the theater. And I'm like, well, this is probably one of the saddest things I've seen, because she probably doesn't have a lot to look forward to, right? Like clearly has like some struggles that she's working with, and the movie theaters is probably like a highlight of her week. And they're so massive, like we could social distance, like there's all these other things we can do, and now we're making a spectacle out of this little girl because we have so much fear instilled into us. And by all means, you can wear your glasses and your double masks, and you can again socially distance. Like there's other things. And I just feel like there's just so much divisiveness because it's like anti-masker or like triple ply, right? Like that's all we see. And I'm like, we're all humans at the end of the day. We have individual needs, and we need to respect each other. And I don't know, like just see more. It's like see deeper.
Yeah. I mean, there has to be a reckoning sooner or later, because we both agree that we care more for the American people than we do the politicians, whatnot. But the American people, if all the American people care for the American people, then things would be a whole lot different. And nobody out there can't tell me that we can't reach that point, because we reached a point when we're in trouble as a nation. And it shouldn't take that, but we do reach that point where we're all a caring people when this nation gets in trouble. 9/11 and Hurricane Katrina, different things like that. So it's not that we can't, it's just that media, politicians, the people at the top who get a lot of money for keeping us divided. Well, that's why they keep us divided, because they get paid a lot of money to do it. I just wish that so many Americans would understand that, number one, we outnumber the politicians. So we have more. So we literally have more power than the politicians. Now, I'm not saying we need to go and choke them out or anything, but I'm saying, so many people say, well, we need term limits. You do have term limits. They're called elections. Vote the people out. Just vote them out. They don't have to be in office for 50, 60 years. Nobody was supposed to be in office. No, DC lawmaker, that position was not ever supposed to be a lifetime position. The only lifetime position that they made was Supreme Court. You're not supposed to be in the Congress for 55 years. You're not supposed to be in the Senate for 65 years, because you can't tell anybody. You can't be in there at 72 years old and say, well, I know some new stuff we can try. No.
You've tried it all.
You've been there. You haven't done anything.
Mm-hmm.
It's, I don't mind 2 terms, go home. And I don't think that they should be paid. I really don't. You want to get paid and then go back home to your state and do something. I don't think they should be paid at the top because they can increase their wages in Congress, but they can't shut down or stop social media from putting limits on conservative speech. They wrote the law. They wrote Section 230 to protect social media platforms. Congress did.
Mm.
Congress wrote Section 230. Check it out. 230 so that they could not be sued for stuff that was on their platform. Yet, these platforms are using 230 to silence us, but we can't sue them because they're protected.
Is that similar to like a utility 230? So like if you like have a phone line, then that company is not responsible for what is like said or it's like right?
Yes. Yep.
But yet it's not a utility.
Right. And that's what, some people look at it like that. Look at these. Well, what are you? Are you a utility? Are you a publisher or what? But then again, if Congress signed it, Congress can get rid of it. 3 times in the last month and a half, 2 months, Zuckerberg, Jack from Twitter, person from Google has been up there to Congress.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing come from it.
But they don't know what's happening.
Right. They don't know what's going on.
Mm-mm.
But then we keep losing followers.
Mm-hmm.
Why? Because these platforms have that much power behind them. You can't take them down. You can't remove them. Can't do this. Can't do that. So,
do you think a political candidate could ever win that wasn't, that didn't like fully belong to either party and that didn't spend their campaigning time focusing on how bad the opposition was and rather just said what they thought they could do and, their dream for the people? Do you think that we're so far away from that because of the bureaucracy and how like the wheeling and dealing is happening behind the scenes? Like, is that impossible for someone to go in almost like a white knight? Like, is it?
Can't happen anymore.
Can't happen anymore?
What they did to Trump. Trump went in. Trump really wasn't a Democrat or a Republican.
Mm-hmm.
And he went in not owing anybody anything. And Washington don't play that. That's why, if you look at all the stuff that he did, economic-wise, foreign policy-wise, social-wise.
Mm-hmm.
Now let's move that his tweets out of the way and just look at his policies. Okay, things got better until the pandemic. Things got better.
Mm-hmm.
The left were like, we don't care.
Mm-hmm.
We don't care that there were more jobs. We don't care people were making more money. We don't care about the Trump tax cuts that were putting money back into. We don't care.
Mm-hmm.
We don't want them in.
Mm-hmm. It was just too personal at that point.
It was personal.
Mm-hmm.
And your question about somebody coming up, don't have allegiance to anybody, carefree, I'm going to change this, I'm going to change that, I'm going to do it for y'all. Not no more. Because both sides took down Trump. With the help of the media, both sides took down Trump.
So with, I'm not like super familiar with it, but I want to say it was Brett Weinstein with the Unity Party. I want to say it was Brett Weinstein. And so he was kind of like campaigning for a third party, and one that wasn't like so easily defined by like ideologies, just like, you know, the best person wins kind of a thing. And then he got deplatformed from, I think it was Facebook for it. And he's like, you know, he's not conservative. He's not like liberal. I guess if you were to put him somewhere, he might actually be like, you know, a little left of center. And he got deplatformed for even suggesting a third party. Meanwhile, we have, you know, the birthday party now that I guess maybe still exists. I'm not really sure. But do you see that maybe as a possible solution, is like creating a third party if enough money goes behind it? No, there's just too many on either end that are already like infested.
You know what, Candice? There are already 4 parties right now.
Okay.
There are already 4. You got your Democrat Party, you got your Republican Party, then you got your Trump supporters, and then you got the AOC socialist side.
Okay. But I feel like that's also problematic because like there's still like in this...
And libertarians.
Oh, I know, but that's like... Come on. You know what I mean? I feel like if you were to put me somewhere, I agree with a lot of it, but like they don't have a chance. Like there's no chance. Like poor, you know, Jorgensen. Like you know.
Yeah. When I saw that name on the ballot, I'm like, who the hell is this? I was like, this has got to be a joke. Okay, whatever.
Oh man, I had John McAfee on like a few months back, and he's like a firm believer. Like he doesn't vote. He thinks the whole thing is like nonsense, and like it's just kind of like smoke and mirrors. And really, like the people that are making the decisions and affecting everyone's lives, like we don't know who they are, and they're not voted in. And part of me was like a little bit relieved with that, because it's like all of these scare tactics don't really mean anything at the end of the day, right? And then when he brought up the point, he's like, well, when has the president like really changed your life? And for me, I was like, I actually can't name that.
Right.
So yeah, there was like a little bit of reassurance in that, and it, like kind of like a sense of like, oh, okay, like it's not going to be the end of the world if this person's in or if this person's in. And I think we could all take a little bit away from that and be like, you know what? I'm in control of my life and my happiness, and it's not healthy to be on Twitter for 20 hours a day.
No, it's not. No. But, you know, I mean, I was saying, even though some might not have agreed with me, if Biden won, but I'm saying back then, if Biden would have won, I was like, we'll just go with the flow again. You know, I mean, politics is so hypocritical that both sides steal from each other, and then they say the same thing about each other every 4 years or every 8 years. It's the same thing. Well, Barack Obama was the worst president ever. Okay, all right. So now it's Donald Trump is the worst president ever. Okay, all right. It's a never-ending thing. I had a friend that left politics one time. He was like, it's never going to fix itself. You're never going to have unity. You can't have unity in politics.
Why is that?
Because both sides think that they're right.
You know what I always think about? Did you ever watch Game of Thrones? Did you get into that? Okay, so you know, it's season 8 when Tyrion's locked up in prison and Jon goes to visit him. Okay. And he's kind of explaining Daenerys' mindset, and he's like, wouldn't you, if you thought that you were almost like this beacon of light, and that you were goodness, you were going to break the wheel, like you were going to make life better for everyone, wouldn't you burn down everything that got in your way of that heaven, essentially? And it's like that can be applied to pretty much everyone in power. It's like everyone thinks that they see something everyone else is missing, and I think most of them are, or some of them are well-intentioned, but it's there's this thing that happens when you're voted in and then you stay in office for such a long time. It almost gets like your ideas get cemented in, and then you feel like this sense of duty and obligation to the people that voted you in. So it just gets further and further instilled, and you're less likely to hear someone else out. And we all think this. So if we all can just admit we have an inkling of, whether we're good or bad, or we're doing the right thing or the wrong thing, but you always have to be open to the idea that you might be wrong. And so long as you're open to the idea that you might be wrong, then you now have open communication, and you are serving the people that voted for you because you're not so invested in your ideas. So
that's the thing. Just what you said. If everybody was open, and that's the problem. That is the problem. That's a sickness, is that everybody can't be open up here.
Do you think part of it is maybe because a certain personality type is drawn to like leadership in that sense, or to politics?
Drawn to politics?
Yeah, like a certain personality. Like maybe you score a high on like a narcissist test, like a lot higher than everyone else, and you're like, I can fix problems, and me.
Yeah.
And like that's why we have so much tension up there, is because we have just a bunch of the same personality types.
Yeah, because you can't get any common sense solutions to those people, because like you said, they all know better. They all know better. No, because like I said earlier, they've never been in our shoes, but because they have reached the pinnacle, or they have the golden spoon, they know what's better because they have that. But yeah, you can raise somebody and put them in that position, like the Eddie Murphy movie, Trading Places. You can put somebody in that position, but they're not going to stay in that position because they didn't grow up like that person that has a spoon. So, we all want politics to be better. We all want Congress to be better. We all want our government to be better. But I don't know if Pandora's box is going to allow that. The box has been open. It's been open for a long time, and we don't have anybody to shut it. And then if it does shut, can everything roll back to what it used to be? No, history says no, because once you have a knowledge of certain thing, you can try to get back, but you'll never be back. You can try to create that atmosphere of what it was, but with the knowledge of what you already have learned, it'll never be the same. So you got to keep adapting. You got to keep adapting, and you got to keep on trying to win people. But going back to what we started off the conversation with, if you try to win people, don't try to force what you know. Let people see how you live. Let people see how you speak. Let people see how you think, and then they'll be running to you. How can I get to the place of where you are? Because you seem like you have it all together. And then you'd be like, well, I don't have it all together, but I tell you what, this is what I believe. And, if you want to sit sometime and we can talk, because I need to change some things in my life. Okay, well, let's do that.
Yeah, I have to have hope that it'll at some point like regulate and improve. And I think what got me to that point, because I used to be a little bit more cynical and be like, oh my gosh, like, the country as we know it's going to implode and then nothing's going to be the same, is if you do look back at human history, like we've been making small incremental improvements, right? Like we're doing a little bit better every century. So
no, it is true.
Yeah.
It is true.
So I just hope that, we stay on course for that and just do like our small improvements every day. And then 2020 will be a long, much forgotten, terrible year.
I know. We're starting out 2021 like that too.
I know. Great. Off to a great start, folks.
I was like, wait a minute. Who died? Who died again? What? Not again. Oh, man.
Did you see those memes going around and like everyone was like so excited for 2021? They're like, no, it's 2020 that just turned 2021 or that just turned 21 and can now drink. Like, buckle up. I'm like, oh, I hope that's not true. I hope it's not true.
Oh, man.
Oh, my goodness. Well, I know you are a super busy man, so I don't want to take too much of your time.
Girl, we got to do it again.
Seriously, this was amazing.
Yeah, I think, again, I like what you're doing and I like how you're doing it. And, just even if you aren't in the middle, even if you are right leaning, but you don't have to let anybody know that, which brings everybody to your table. And then when everybody comes to your table, you can be a beacon of information, because I'm telling you, I didn't watch a couple of your interviews all the way through, but I watched the subject matter of a couple of those interviews. I'm like, I'll go ahead and do that. I mean, she's getting the information out, and she wants to learn, and I know she's learning from talking to everybody, because everybody has a certain different way of speaking and how they come to the point. So you are growing. I know you're growing like this. So I mean, I applaud what you're doing, and let me know when. I'm sorry it took so long, but no. I knew that there was going to be a whole lot going on, and I was like, there's going to be a whole lot to talk about. And even though we didn't really get into that stuff, we can get into that stuff next time. But I was like, yeah, we're going to have a whole lot to talk about. But I'm glad that we were able to talk about it.
I am too. I seriously appreciate it, because I know you have, your own company and your own podcast and your own everything. So do you want to tell the listeners like how they can follow you and how they can support you projects? Plug away.
Thank you so much. Well, Candice is cool. Candice is going to be a bright shining star, and I do want everybody to follow her and to support her in any way you can. You can find me at WayneDupree.com. I'm trying to change a couple of the ways that we do our stories these days, because things have changed a little bit. So, but WayneDupree.com, you can always find my podcast at the Wayne Dupree podcast on Apple or Android store. We broadcast Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday between 12 and 1 live shows. But you can become a Patreon member, patreon.com/WD show. And if you want to learn more about me, just tweet Google face me, just type in Wayne Dupree Show. And you believe me, my picture's everywhere. You can check it out. So
can't miss it.
Can't miss it.
Awesome. Well, yeah, I look forward to having you back, and thank you so much.
Thank you.
That's it for this week's episode. If you enjoyed the podcast, please rate and review, and don't forget to hit that subscribe button. You can also share this podcast with a friend. It helps my podcast grow, and I really appreciate it. I hope to see you next week.